The museum was very tired. It was either treasure trove or junk shop, depending on one's point of view, but it was overwhelming and often very confusing and difficult for visitors to understand and work their way around.
It was a very dusty, quiet old place, not many people visited. There were lots of objects and you couldn't really see them.
The roof leaked, the boiler was rattling to an untimely death, and the lift, rather extraordinarily, didn't quite reach the top floors. So it simply wasn't fit for purpose. It was cramped and it was dark. So there was a lot that we needed to do.
I saw in the newspaper what they were going to be doing to the Holburne Gallery, and I was really against it. I thought that looks like it's going to be a monstrosity stuck onto it. But after they'd done it, and I recently came back, my opinions completely changed.
This is a museum in Bath, and you know, it is a World Heritage Site. It couldn't be a more sensitive site in many ways. The museum sits at the end of Great Pulteney Street, which is one of the great set pieces of the city, and then backs on to these extraordinary gardens, which, although little remains of the 18th century within them, they are the only remaining 18th century pleasure gardens still open as a public park.
The extension, which had to be of a certain scale, and was on the face of it going to be a biggish building in this intimate landscape, also had to have that extraordinariness about it.
The Holburne is a museum built around a personal collection, which gives it a very sort of strong sense of personality or character. We are a museum in a park.
There are so many museums you go into that you lose a sense of connection with the exterior. That intimacy of the garden setting is something I always wanted to create. That creates a center which is like a precious casket to hold that collection in its unity and to hold it with much more exhibited to the public than ever was possible before.
The extension more or less doubles the public space for the museum. And so it's an incredibly tightly planned scheme in which everything, in fact, that we needed has been provided.
My strategy architecturally was to work with the idea of reflection and transparency.
There's something about the extension and the way light comes through and interacts with those spaces and with those objects within the space that is very exciting. And it's that capturing of natural light and how that changes over the day.
We're not just a venue, we are a museum, and the extension and the development has enabled us to display our collection to far higher standard. So it's just afforded us a huge opportunity to do inspiring, bold, beautiful displays.
We've got lots of weird and wonderful things in the collection, including things from the Middle East, collected by intrepid lady travellers at the end of the 19th century, down to Egyptian objects, Roman things, probably 6,000 objects.
The way that the museum has reconfigured the collection, because of the spaces that have been created within it, say a lot about what we've got as a collection. It becomes a kind of discovery and a curiosity which is encouraged by the way it's set out. We now have this purpose-built museum which has made an immense amount of difference. And it's really, as you can see, really bright and beautiful. So that's completely changed everything.
It's a fantastic space and much more than I could ever have hoped, really. And I think it shows the objects off to their great advantage as well. And that's down also, of course, to the architecture and the way we have these very exciting, different kinds of spaces that have been created.
We run art-based workshops for every age. We have a kind of commitment to homeless people and then at-risk young people. It all is based on our museum collection and also the building and the environment and the gardens that it sits in.
I feel that at the end, it's a building that has a certain scaling. There's an intimacy. There's a sort of reverberation about it in its landscape. And that I couldn't predict, but it has done essentially what I want in terms of a mysterious presence within the garden. The building, in a way, architecturally, is about ambiguity.
So it's different every day, and this is one of the lovely things about the extension, is that you're always noticing new things. Sometimes visitors point things out to us, and you know, we hadn't noticed how a particular thing from a particular angle might look, or with a particular fall of light. So we're discovering new things all the time about the building.
I feel like it was such a good thing for it to happen because it's opened up the museum in lightness, in people coming here, and the gardens are gorgeous around it. You can go for tea downstairs or lunch, and it just is a different place. I want others to experience what I have experienced.
What's great about the building is it was an enormous struggle getting it through planning and getting public opinion on our side. And what's happened now is many people who wouldn't necessarily have approved of contemporary architecture in a city like Bath love it. And I think it does show that good contemporary architecture can work in a historic environment and that people will respond to it, and people are responding to it.
It's just the magical ingredients of the ceramic and the glass and the clouds and the sun and often the rain. And it's just a magical view that every time I see it, I just feel very pleased that, you know, this is where I work and where we've been bold enough to do something different and adventurous.